Eddie Fishinghart. Here. Meredith Bailey. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. John Garvin. Chuck Hopkins Jr. Tanner Dory Jordan. Present. Curtis Snell. Here. Chris Stokes. Here. David Thornton. Here. Eric Allen Watts. Honey. We have a quorum. The purpose of this special meeting this evening is to consider a resolution ratifying a self-governance compact with the United States Health and Human Services Indian Health Service. And Dr. Cobb, you are the sponsor of this resolution, you and Ms. Fulbright.
Fulbright, Councilor Fulbright, you have anything to add, please do. I think everyone knows we've been working on this for a while. This is a resolution compact self-governance entered into on March 6, 2006. This resolution says right here. Legislative Act 1501 requires compacts to be ratified by the Council of the Cherokee Nation. The Council of the Cherokee Nation hereby ratifies the compact self-governance that was entered into on March 6 of 2006 for IHS service programs, functions, and activities, including W.W. Hastings Indian Hospital, and including all routine funding attachments to such compact as they are negotiated from time to time. And as Councilor Fulbright has a comment as co-sponsor of this important bill, I will leave it at that.
I'm very much for this. It's one of the things that I wanted to see happen when I was out campaigning to get elected. I think that it's going to be a lot better services. It's going to save us the administrative costs that we've been sending off to Oklahoma City. And we'll have doctors and nurses that are really answerable to us. And I just think it's going to be 100% better. I need to take a motion.
I make a motion.
Second. Moved in second. Any further discussion? Yes, sir. Just a moment. Resolution.
Thank you very much. I'd like to share with the Council that the Muscogee Creek Nation just last Saturday in their National Council approved a resolution supporting unanimously the operation of W.W. Hastings. The Cherokee Nation and the Creek Nation have had a successful partnership for over a decade to provide high-quality health care services, and this will extend to W.W. Hastings. We want to thank the Creek Nation for their confidence in the Cherokee Nation and our health care system. We want to send special thanks to Speaker Yohola and Chief Ellis for their unwavering support of this endeavor. When we began this effort 8 months ago, we've had dozens of Cherokee Nation and Hastings staff who've worked tirelessly on this evaluation and the plan. And the thing that was telling to me when I talked to a number of doctors and administrators at Hastings is they recognized under the federal system they took Hastings and Indian health care as far as they could. And they were looking forward to the opportunity to work with the Cherokee Nation for the common goal to create the best health care possible for Indian people here. The negotiating and transition teams were composed of health professionals, administrators, finance, resource people, information system, and others. The direction and recommendations for Hastings resulted from the work of this dynamic group of individuals. They worked hours, often late into the night, because they believe in this opportunity where we will finally achieve the flexibility to address our health care needs. They demonstrate the best in Indian country and care first and foremost about expanding the quality and quantity of health care for our citizens. And with the Speaker's indulgence, I would like for those who worked on the evaluation, planning, and negotiation teams to stand and let us recognize you for your hard and diligent work. If you will stand at this time. Thank you very much, Ms. Speaker.
Any other comments, questions? Yes, Ms. Jordan.
This issue, probably coupled with the Housing Authority transition, has probably been the most difficult issues for me this year to make. On the one hand, I know that we have an excellent health staff. I know that the hospital has an excellent health staff. I know that they've done their darndest to negotiate what they feel is a compact that will be better for the future of Cherokee Nation. On the other hand, I have literally had hundreds of constituents email, call me, communicate with me in some form about their concern of us assuming the activities at Hastings Hospital with everything else that's going on with Cherokee Nation at the current time. I have a great amount of respect for all the people that have been involved in this endeavor. But I must vote whatever I personally think with my constituents. My constituents are the basic people that you see at the hospital every day. They are the rank and file employees of the hospital, and they have a great concern of how we're going to fund the proposed improvements, what the timeline is, and they seem to think that and my biggest concern joins them, is when are we going to get a clinic up there? And would a clinic separated from the hospital have solved our problem? As you all know, that is in a different act for another night. Had it been here tonight, it certainly would have helped my decision, but it's not here tonight. And not knowing what will happen to that, not knowing where all the money's going to come from, not knowing what the timetable will be, I cannot support this resolution at the present time. Again, I want to commend you for what you've done, but I just simply, I guess this must be my legal background, I needed more answers, and I haven't gotten those answers. So I will have to vote no on this resolution tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I bring a great deal of reservations to the meeting tonight concerning this legislation. I have thought a lot about it, listened to constituents as other councilors have, and I've resolved those uncertainties in favor of supporting the resolution. I do want to say, just preface that, I guess, by saying that whatever the outcome is tonight, Madam Speaker, this is a victory for the Council of the Cherokee Nation. Months ago, it was not necessarily, we were not necessarily on the track to be the final arbiter of this decision. Certainly, Legislative Act 1501 demanded it. Certainly, good public policy demanded it. But there was a time when I was uncertain that the Council of the Cherokee Nation was going to have a meaningful role in this process. And I commend Chairman Cobb for helping to make sure that that happened. Again, the law required that we have a role in this. The law required that we have the final word, but that was not always to be. You didn't have to look much further than the headlines of our own newspaper to see that the council at some point appeared to be irrelevant to the process. But of course the council is not irrelevant to the process. We are the body that will make this final decision, and it is I think a difficult one, but I again have resolved my concerns in favor of supporting the resolution. The concerns I do have center around the timing of the takeover, the precision with which the administration has identified how we'll pay for the takeover, and the specificity as to how we will move towards improving health care. There's another piece of legislation that I think it's regrettable is not on our agenda tonight, and that's the legislation that was spearheaded by Councilor Jordan. I was proud to co-sponsor that with her. It identified, among other things, a number of clinics that would be in our plan to create. And the most important piece of that was that we would create a Tahlequah clinic. It seems to me that creating that clinic was really the cornerstone of making Hastings better, to take that outpatient load out of the hospital. Councilor Jordan's legislation would do just that. It would set the administration on a definite timetable to identify funding sources to make that happen. It is puzzling to me as to why that is not on our agenda tonight. I know that constitutionally we're powerless to put that on the agenda. but I think we would have been better served as a government if we would have put that companion measure before us. However, I do have confidence that we'll pass that. I have confidence we'll pass that at our next meeting. And given the comments from the chief at our committee meeting, my sense is he has no reservations concerning that legislation, because it really embraces what is already on paper in the administration. That is, plans for various clinics, including the Tahlequah Clinic. So given that backdrop, and given that I think we can do a better job than the federal government in running Hastings, I will support this resolution tonight, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Hoskin. Mr. Baker.
Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you. I too have reservations. I too wish that the companion legislation was before us. Not only did it prove our commitment and our desire to put our money where our mouth was to improve Hastings and take the load out of the most expensive health care you've got in the emergency room and put it in an urgent care outpatient facility. It also had a component in it that gave a written guarantee to our present employees, the rank and file and all, on being able to keep their IPAs and MOAs and continue to be federal employees for as long as they wish to be. I think anybody will tell you that the Cherokee Nation has good benefits, but I don't think anybody will tell you that they've got better benefits than the federal government. Anytime you can have benefits that at the end of your service there's a paycheck, it is much better than the 401k. So I would like to have, that guarantee. The other thing is maybe the timing. There's a moratorium for any indirect cost for newer expanded services, which is a big number to run the hospital. And if we're going to expand, and maybe after these presidential elections, that moratorium might be lifted. And I truly hope that it will be. Like I say, I'd like to have the other legislation so that we'd have a guarantee of a timeline at least for expanding the hospital, and I too could have been swayed or softened if those guarantees were in place. The last thing, and a glooming issue that nobody wants to recognize, is we do have the Freedmen issue out there, and it could blow up on us. And I don't think that we need to gamble our health care. And if, God forbid, the federal government came in and pulled our funding, I wouldn't want it to pull everything, which Hastings would be amongst it. So I'm reluctant to put all of our eggs in one basket. So I'll be voting no.
Mr. Baker. Mr. Buzzard.
Yes, just a few comments that I'd like to make. The last 25 years, I've watched the Cherokee Nation progress over those periods of years, and I've seen a lot of programs that's been compacted. You look at the roads program, look at the Marshall program, look at the realty services, natural resources. All those programs have been successful. I believe we have people that run these operations that are experts in their fields, and I don't think that we're going to see any drop-off from those people from operating Hastings Hospital. And I just want to go back and tell you, I worked for the Indian Health Service before I come to the Cherokee Nation, and I kind of thought some of the same things that the other counselors have talked about. Except for the retirement, I don't see any difference in it. Matter of fact, I think it's a better place to work. So I'll be supporting this program, this resolution tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Buzzard. Dr. Cobb.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate the words from Councilor Hoskin. There were some days when being chair of this committee was a little bit rough. I had the thoughts and advice of some very intelligent Cherokee citizens, some on the council and some not. And my decisions were according to some of those thoughts. Quite honestly, as one of the few people in this room that has worked as a doctor at a federal health facility, I had the privilege of being a doctor at American Lake VA Hospital in Tacoma, Washington, which is across the street from Fort Lewis. I have worked in that system, and I know the limitations that's placed on the federal government, what they can and cannot do, what the doctors can and cannot do, especially with funding. So for me, it came down to one thing. One of my campaign platforms was I would like in the next several decades, 25 years, and I know the chief is fond of 25, 50, and 100-year plans, as am I. I would like to see our health system become the Mayo health system of this part of the country, and I think we definitely have the ability to do that. So for me, it came down to one question. In its present form, with its present limitations, can the federal health system get us to that point? And for me, with the experience that I've had, the answer is no, they can't. There's too many limitations. While they do a fine job, they're too limited. So I will be supporting this resolution, and I believe that in 25 years we will definitely see more than the fruits of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cobb. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, the motion is to approve this resolution ratifying the compact with the U.S. government. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
Aye.
A roll call, please. Yes, you support the resolution.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
Yes.
Bradley Cobb,
Yes.
Joe Crittenden,
No.
Jody Fishinghawk,
No.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
Yes.
China Glory Jordan,
No.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
Chris Soap,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Eric Allen Watts,
Yes.
Buell Anglin,
Yes.
Bill John Baker,
No.
Jack Baker.
Yes.
We have 13 yes and 4 no.
13 yes, 4 no, motion carries. Before we leave and adjourn, at the holiday parade on Saturday, Gail said that our float number is number 7, and she asked that we be there by 9:15. The Eastern Band float is number 8, and the Youth Tribal Council float is number 9. So we'll have that parade packed with council people. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.